Your phone buzzes. You glance at it for just a second. 15 minutes disappear. You return to your work, but now your mind won't settle. You read the same sentence 4 times without understanding it. You tell yourself to focus, but the harder you try to concentrate, the more scattered you feel. By the end of the day, you have been busy for hours, yet completed nothing meaningful. This is not laziness. This is not lack of discipline. This is something else entirely. And until you understand what it really is, you will keep fighting a battle you cannot win. There was a point in my life when I could not hold my attention on anything for more than a few minutes. I would sit down to work on something important, and within moments, find myself checking messages, scrolling through feeds, or simply staring at nothing while my thoughts drifted. I tried everything. I blocked distracting websites. I used timers and productivity techniques. I made lists and broke tasks into smaller pieces. Nothing worked beyond a day or 2. The strange thing was this: the harder I fought to focus, the more exhausted I became, and the worse my concentration grew. I was fighting against myself and losing. Then I discovered something in a book about samurai training that changed everything. A warrior named Takuan Soho, a Zen monk who taught swordsmen in the 1600s, wrote something that seemed to contradict everything I believed about focus. He said that the greatest swordsmen never tried to focus at all. Instead, they practiced something he called Mushin no Shin, which means the mind of no mind. When I first read this, I thought it was just mystical nonsense. An empty mind? How does that help you concentrate? But then I kept reading and discovered the truth that no one talks about. The reason you cannot focus is not because your mind is weak. It is because you are trying to force focus in a way that goes against how your mind actually works. The modern world teaches us that concentration is about blocking out distractions through sheer willpower. We think focus is a battle between what we want to do and what our mind wants to do. We believe that if we just push harder, try harder, control our thoughts better, we will finally be able to concentrate. This is exactly backwards. And this is why every technique you have tried has failed. The samurai understood something that we have forgotten. True focus is not about forcing your mind into submission. It is about removing the obstacles that scatter your attention in the first place. When you try to force focus, you create a war inside yourself. Part of you pushes toward the task, while another part pulls away. This internal conflict drains more energy than the work itself. The samurai had 3 principles that worked with the mind's nature instead of fighting against it. The first principle is called ichinen. This word appears in the Hagakure, the Book of the Samurai, written by Yamamoto Tsunetomo. Ichinen means single-minded, purpose, or one thought. But this does not mean thinking about only one thing forever. It means being completely present with whatever you are doing right now, even if that task lasts only a few moments. When a samurai drew his sword, his entire being was in that single motion. When he sheathed it, his entire being was in that motion. There was no divided attention, no part of his mind already rushing to the next thing. There was a young archer named Masaki who could not hit targets during competitions, even though his arrows flew perfectly straight during practice. His teacher, an old master named Hideyoshi, watched him carefully and saw the problem immediately. During practice, Masaki's mind was fully present with each shot. During competition, his mind was split between the current arrow, worry about the next one, concern about his score, and fear of disappointing his family. Each shot contained 4 different minds instead of 1. Hideyoshi gave Masaki one instruction. After releasing each arrow, he must take 3 complete breaths before even thinking about the next shot. He was to treat each arrow as if it were the only arrow in the world. This small change transformed everything. By creating a boundary between each action, Masaki trained his mind to stay present. He learned that focus is not about maintaining attention for hours. It is about giving complete attention to one small unit of time, then naturally moving to the next. This is how real concentration works, not through marathon sessions of forced attention, but through a series of brief, complete engagements with each present moment. But here's what Misaki discovered that surprised him most. The principle of ichinen actually requires less effort than what he was doing before. When his mind was scattered across multiple concerns, he felt exhausted even before shooting. When his mind rested fully in each single shot, he felt energized and clear. This reveals the hidden truth about focus. Scattered attention is what drains you. Single-pointed attention is what restores you. The second principle is called Mizu no kokoro, which translates to mind like water. This comes from Zen Buddhist teachings that deeply influence samurai training. When you drop a stone into still water, the water responds immediately and completely to that disturbance. It does not overreact or underreact. When the disturbance passes, the water returns to stillness naturally, without any effort. The samurai trained their minds to work the same way. Most people cannot focus because their mind is already full of ripples before they even begin a task. You sit down to work, but you are still carrying tension from an earlier conversation. You are worried about an upcoming deadline. You are replaying something that happened yesterday. Your mind is like a pond in a storm, so disturbed that it cannot reflect anything clearly. There was a swordsman named Akichi who faced a famous duelist in a match everyone expected him to lose. His opponent was faster and more experienced. But when the two men stood facing each other, something unusual happened. While his opponent's body showed tension and readiness to strike, Akichi stood with complete calm. His breathing was slow. His posture was relaxed but alert. When his opponent finally attacked, Akichi moved with perfect timing. Not because he was faster, but because his mind was still enough to see the opening that appeared. His opponent's speed worked against him because his mind was too agitated to see opportunities. Akichi's stillness allowed him to respond perfectly to what was actually happening, instead of reacting to what he feared might happen. Here's the twist that changes everything. Akichi had spent the hour before the match practicing Mokuso, which means silent sitting. This was not about trying to empty his mind or achieve some special state. It was simply sitting quietly, acknowledging whatever thoughts and feelings were present, and allowing his mind to settle, like disturbed water returning to stillness. This is what no one tells you about focus. Before you can concentrate on anything external, you must first let the internal water settle. You cannot skip this step. When your mind is already full of ripples from everything else in your life, no amount of willpower will make you able to focus on the task in front of you. The third principle is called Mushin, which means no mind. This is the most misunderstood concept of all. Mushin does not mean having no thoughts. It means not being attached to your thoughts. It means not letting your thinking about the task interfere with actually doing the task. This comes from the teachings of Takuan Soho, the Zen monk who advised samurai in the art of the sword. A master calligrapher named Fumiko could create beautiful characters with perfect flow and balance. When students asked her to teach them her technique, she told them something that puzzled them. The moment you think about how to make the stroke becomes stiff. The moment you worry whether it will look good, it loses its life. The best work happens when your hand knows what to do without your conscious mind interfering. This is the secret of deep focus that few people understand. True concentration is not achieved by thinking harder about what you are doing. It is achieved by practicing enough that you can do the work without constant self-monitoring. When you learn to ride a bicycle, at first your mind is completely occupied with balance, pedaling, and steering. Everything requires conscious thought. But after enough practice, your body knows how to ride, and your mind becomes free. You think about where you want to go, not about how to move your legs. The reason your mind wanders during work is often because you are stuck in the stage where you must consciously think about every small decision. Each decision point becomes an opportunity for distraction. The samurai understood this deeply. They trained their fundamental techniques until they could perform them in a state of Mushin, freeing their conscious attention to perceive the larger situation. Here is what all three principles reveal. The inability to focus is not a personal failing. It is the natural result of trying to force concentration while your mind is disturbed, while your attention is divided across multiple concerns, and while you must consciously control every action. The solution is not to try harder. The solution is to create the conditions where focus happens naturally. Before any important task, take 3 minutes for Mokuso. Sit quietly and notice what thoughts and feelings you are carrying. Acknowledge them without judgment, then consciously set them aside to return to later. This creates a clear starting point instead of carrying all the noise of your day into your work. When you begin working, commit to 1 unit of time with single-pointed attention. Set a timer for 25 minutes and give yourself fully to one task during that period. When the timer ends, take 3 full breaths before deciding what to do next. Practice working in complete units rather than partial scattered efforts. Identify the fundamental skills involved in your work and practice them until they become automatic. If you write, practice basic sentence construction until it becomes natural. If you code, practice core patterns until your fingers know them without thinking. Make the basics invisible through repetition, so your conscious mind becomes free for higher work. When you notice your mind wandering, do not force it back through willpower. Instead, stop completely, take 1 full breath, and begin again as if starting fresh. Fighting distraction creates more distraction. Gentle return creates natural flow. Create a simple physical ritual that signals the transition into focused work. This might be making tea, arranging your workspace, or lighting a candle. The ritual becomes a boundary between scattered activity and single-pointed attention. Your mind will learn to settle when this ritual begins. The samurai did not have superhuman concentration. They simply understood how attention actually works and trained accordingly. They knew that focus is not about fighting yourself. It is about creating stillness, maintaining single-pointed awareness, and removing the obstacles that prevent natural concentration. True focus comes from a settled mind, complete presence in each moment, and automatic execution of practiced skills. This is not about working harder. This is about working in harmony with how your mind was designed to function. If you are ready to reclaim your ability to focus deeply, write in the comments, "I will settle my mind and give complete presence." Thank you for watching.